Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we plunge into complex topics and try to distill them into genuinely useful knowledge for you. Today, we're tackling something that, well, it really impacts every single one of us, the future of healthcare. It's a field just undergoing massive change, and we've got some really fascinating insights today. We're looking at how cutting-edge tech isn't just, helping out, it's actually transforming medical training and patient care. Our mission for you today is to unpack EON Reality's clinical excellence platform. It's this groundbreaking solution combining extended reality XR and artificial intelligence AI. We want to explore how this isn't just some far-off futuristic idea, but actually a vital answer to some really pressing, sometimes hidden challenges in healthcare right now.
Indeed. And what's really interesting, I think, is how the healthcare system is facing what EON Reality calls this unprecedented challenge. It's hitting multiple critical areas at once. We're talking about a potential crisis in clinical competency. And that directly threatens patient outcomes, even the financial stability of hospitals. So yeah, this deep dive should really shed light on why a new approach is so critical and how this particular platform is trying to tackle it head on.
Okay, you mentioned an unprecedented challenge, and yeah, our sources really hammer home how serious this is. So let's unpack that. What exactly are these core problems? Our sources break it down into four critical areas, right?
That's right. Four main areas where the old ways just aren't cutting it anymore. And that leads to pretty significant risks. First off, there's a huge critical skills gap. You know the old saying in surgery, see one, do one, teach one?
Yeah, I've heard that.
Well, the sources are pretty clear. That model is now fundamentally insufficient, especially for mastering today's really complex robotic surgeries and other advanced procedures. I mean, think about it. You wouldn't learn to fly a 747 by just watching someone once, right?
No way.
The stakes in surgery are just as high. It creates real patient safety risks, especially during that learning curve. It's a big concern. Second big issue, a massive medical device adoption bottleneck. The medtech industry is innovating like crazy. Amazing life-saving stuff. But hospitals, they really struggle to keep up, to actually use these new technologies.
Why is that? Is it just the cost of the machines?
Well, machines are expensive, sure, but it's often the training that's the real killer. Traditional on-site training for complex new equipment, it costs millions. Like our research showed it could be $1.5 million, sometimes more, just to train maybe 500 clinicians over 6 months for one single product.
Wow. $1.5 million for training.
Yeah. And that delay means patients wait longer for the latest, potentially life-saving advancements. It's a real problem. Okay, third challenge, patient communication deficit. This one might surprise you.
Communication, how does that fit in?
Well, poor communication skills from clinicians. They have a direct measurable impact on things like diagnostic accuracy, whether patients actually follow their treatment plans, and crucially, on patient satisfaction scores.
Yeah.
HTA, HPS scores.
Right. Those affect hospital funding, don't they?
Yeah. Exactly. They directly determine Medicare reimbursements. We're talking potentially millions of dollars annually for hospitals. So it's not just about being nice, although that matters. It hits the bottom line and affects care quality. And finally, the fourth one, the compliance verification challenge. Things are getting more complex, more litigious. Hospitals need to prove their staff are competent, objectively, with data. Regulatory bodies like the Joint Commission, they accredit hospitals and ACGME for residency programs, they demand this proof. But, manual logbooks, someone's just watching and saying, they look okay, it just doesn't cut it anymore. You need verifiable proof.
Okay, so the stakes are incredibly high then. Not just for the hospitals, but for you, the listener. Our sources really emphasize this, saying things like, medical errors are a leading cause of death, and those patient satisfaction scores directly hit reimbursements. The quality of training isn't just academic, it's a primary driver of success, both financially and clinically. So yeah, this really isn't just about admin stuff. It's about the safety, the quality of care you or your family get, very real, very human consequences here. So given these huge challenges, what's the proposed answer? EON Reality's clinical excellence platform, they call it a comprehensive spatial AI solution. What does that actually mean? Spatial AI, what does that unlock that maybe just VR or just AI alone couldn't?
That's a great question. And spatial AI is the key phrase here. It's not just sticking XR, that's VR and AR and AI together. It means creating these really intelligent virtual environments that are responsive. Places where the AI actually understands the 3D space and reacts to what the clinician is doing within that space. So it provides real-time adaptive feedback based on actions in that simulated environment. Basically, yeah, it's an integrated platform using both XR and AI to create a whole new way to train. The core idea, a zero-risk environment, data-driven, where clinicians can really achieve mastery before they ever touch a real patient or even a real expensive machine. It's about practice that gets measured.
Right, and this is where it gets really interesting, I think. It's not just, a cool VR game. It sounds like a whole strategic ecosystem purpose-built to tackle those four specific problems we just laid out, a coordinated approach. Okay, so let's break down these four integrated solutions within this ecosystem. How do they actually work? Practically speaking, how do they solve these problems?
Okay, yeah, each part targets a specific issue. First, you've got virtual surgical and procedural simulators. This creates that zero-risk training environment. Surgeons can practice complex procedures over and over. Imagine mastering everything from like basic suturing skills right up to multi-hour complex operations, all without any patient risk. That hits the skills gap hard.
Makes
It even includes specific crisis response training.
Right.
So clinicians can experience simulated emergencies like maybe a sudden bleed or an allergic reaction and practice their decision-making under pressure. And crucially, it uses performance-based assessment. That's through their EON Integrity Suite. It provides data-verified proof of proficiency. So it's objective, not just someone's opinion.
That sounds incredibly valuable. But what about all that expensive equipment you mentioned earlier, the bottleneck?
Right. That brings us to the second pillar, digital twin medical devices. This is about creating these super realistic, functionally accurate virtual copies, digital twins of things like MRI machines, surgical robots, ventilators, you name it.
Okay, virtual copies.
The huge benefit here is scalability. It's a scalable training solution. These digital twins, they're accessible basically through a web link. So you get global 24/7 training deployment. Think about the impacts of the device manufacturers too. Accelerated market education, they call it. Sales teams can do immersive demos anywhere. Technicians can practice maintenance or troubleshooting safely. It breaks that adoption bottleneck wide open.
And the cost comparison you mentioned.
Yeah, that's striking. Remember, training 500 clinicians traditionally, 6 months, maybe $1.5 million plus.
Right.
With a digital twin solution, the sources say it's more like a one-time investment for $250,000 for unlimited global access.
Whoa, that's
Oh.
more than a 90% saving.
Exactly. And think about getting that device training out instantly, globally, instead of over 6 months. That frees up huge resources that can go back into patient care.
That's a massive financial argument. But beyond the money, getting these devices into use months faster, what's the human impact for patients waiting?
Well, it potentially means lives saved or improved quality of life. Faster access to better diagnostics, newer treatments. It really could be the difference for someone. It speeds up a whole innovation to patient pipeline. Okay, so pillar number 3, AI-driven patient encounters. This uses their EON soft skills platform. This is aimed squarely at that communication deficit we talked about. It's got this library of really lifelike AI-powered virtual humans. They simulate all kinds of patient scenarios, diverse patients, different situations.
So you practice talking to an AI patient.
Pretty much. Clinicians can practice vital skills like taking a good patient history, delivering bad news sensitively, even handling difficult conversations with family members, things that are hard to practice safely. And the key here is the objective feedback system. The AI actually analyzes their word choice, their tone of voice, even things like empathy levels, apparently.
Really? It can measure empathy.
That's what they claim. It offers targeted feedback for improvement, a standardized assessment for these traditionally soft, subjective skills. That's pretty revolutionary for communication training, moving beyond just role-playing.
That is fascinating. It must be tough to measure something like empathy objectively. How does all this tie into that compliance piece you mentioned, making it provable?
Exactly. Good segue. That leads straight to the final pillar, audit-proof compliance and certification. This uses what they call the EON data flywheel. Basically, it captures everything, every training simulation, every procedure assessment, every AI patient conversation. It creates immutable competency records. These are time-stamped, verifiable digital records, absolutely essential for regulatory compliance.
So like a permanent digital logbook?
Kind of, but much more detailed and secure. It offers automated reporting, too. It maps the clinician's performance directly against standards from bodies like the Joint Commission or ACGME. So it becomes this vital risk management tool. It provides that hard, objective evidence of competence that hospitals need for liability protection and accreditation. It directly tackles that compliance verification challenge.
Okay, wow. So you can really see how each piece connects back to those initial problems we discussed. It feels like a very complete full circle approach, making training better, faster, cheaper, but also more measurable and ultimately safer. It really does sound like a paradigm shift.
Absolutely. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the platform isn't just about, theoretical improvements. It's delivering
quantifiable results, real-world impact, tangible benefits for patients and providers.
Right. So for you, the listener, this translates into real improvements: safety, cost, efficiency. What kind of actual numbers are the early adopters reporting? Can you give us a sense of the scale of impact?
Yeah, the numbers are pretty impressive. Sources report a 50 to 70% reduction in the training time needed to reach clinical competency.
50 to 70% faster.
Yeah. Think about getting skilled professionals up to speed that much quicker. Then there are those huge cost savings we talked about. Over 90% cost savings, reported by cutting out things like expensive cadaver labs or travel for device training.
That's enormous, freeing up millions.
Exactly. Resources that can go elsewhere. We're also seeing a reported 10 to 15% improvement in those patient satisfaction scores, the HCHPS scores, directly linked to the better communication training.
Which means better patient experiences and better finances for the hospital.
Precisely. And for the device manufacturers, they're seeing a 3 to 6 month acceleration in getting their new tech adopted. So life-saving gear gets to patients faster. And maybe most critically for the institutions, 100% compliance on objective competency verification, meeting all those regulatory requirements. That's huge for managing risk and maintaining trust.
The scale of those numbers is it's staggering, especially when you think about reducing medical errors.
It is. The financial side is compelling, too. Even a conservative 10% reduction in serious medical errors, they estimate, could save tens of millions annually for large hospital systems. In fact, one source pointed out that avoiding just a single avoided malpractice case can justify the entire platform investment.
Wow.
It really underscores the value. It's not just abstract benefits, it's concrete financial returns, and most importantly, saving lives and improving the quality of care.
So what this all points to, it's a future where clinicians are just better prepared, more competent, where patient care is fundamentally safer, and the whole system is more efficient, more sustainable financially. It really is like reimagining how we train and certify our medical workforce from the ground up.
And it's not designed to be some isolated silo either. It's built for deep integration across the whole healthcare world. EON Reality is partnering with hospital systems, big networks, medical device and pharma companies, medical and nursing schools, even the accreditation bodies and professional associations themselves. It sounds like they're trying to collaboratively define the future standard for clinical credentialing.
So working with the existing players, not just disrupting them?
That seems to be the approach. And the tech foundation is solid, too. It's HIPAA compliant, obviously critical for patient data protection. It supports a whole range of XR devices: MetaQuest, HTC Vive Pro, HoloLens, Magic Leap 2. So institutions have flexibility. Doesn't matter if it's tethered or standalone VR/IR. And crucially, it connects seamlessly with existing hospital systems, things like electronic health records, EHR, and learning management systems, LMS. So it plugs into their current IT infrastructure rather than being a whole separate thing.
That integration piece sounds key for actual adoption. It really does seem clear that the old ways just aren't enough anymore. As one analyst in our sources put it, continuing to rely on centuries-old training models in an era of exponential technological and clinical complexity is no longer a viable option. This platform seems to offer that viable, necessary next step, pushing healthcare training into, well, the 21st century and beyond. It feels like the logical evolution. What a deep dive. We've really seen how EON Reality's clinical excellence platform, by smartly merging spatial AI and extended reality, is directly tackling those critical skills gaps, accelerating device adoption, boosting communication skills, and locking down compliance. It really is forging a new path for clinical excellence, making healthcare safer, more efficient, and ultimately more responsive for all of us.
Yeah, it definitely raises a big question, though, doesn't it, for you, the listener, to think about. Given these really clear, measurable benefits in patient safety and cost reduction in the patient experience, how quickly will these kinds of advanced data-driven training methods go from being innovative options to just being the standard, the expected way for all medical education and ongoing competency? What's it going to take for, every hospital, every medical school to really embrace this kind of future?
That's definitely something to mull over as you think about the future of medicine and maybe your own healthcare experiences. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.